You wonder how they're going to find their way, how to get them ready for the times you won't be there to help, how to help them to be strong enough, brave enough, mentally sharp, moral. They need confidence without arrogance.
That was awesome.
Skills without screens for the world beyond school and sports. Ready for emergencies, for challenges, for whatever the world throws their way. Prepared with what they have in their heads and hearts. What they can do with their own two hands. What they can do working with others and by putting others first. They need social without the media. A way to experience the real world in real safety. A place to be challenged without being overwhelmed. A safe place to explore the world and imagine what's possible for them in it. Where all kids are welcome and everyone has a path forward to new skills, advancement, leadership. Where their individual effort can create something invaluable, something they will carry with them the rest of their lives.
Test, test. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, supporters of Scouting and investors in today's youth who will become tomorrow's leaders. Today we celebrate an organization that has been a cornerstone of youth development for over a century, Scouting America. At the heart of Scouting lies a commitment to cultivating leadership. Programs like National Youth Leadership Training provide young members with essential leadership skills and practical experience. This program empowers participants to lead their peers effectively, fostering confidence and competence that extend beyond scouting into their professional lives. Scouting's mission is to instill the values that guide ethical and moral decision-making. By adhering to the Scout Oath and the Scout Law, Scouts develop traits such as trustworthiness, loyalty, and kindness. These attributes are foundational for personal growth and development, and they lead to great leaders in the future workforce. The patrol method, a fundamental aspect of Scouting, teaches Scouts the importance of teamwork. By working in small groups, Scouts learn to collaborate, communicate effectively, and resolve conflicts, skills that are directly transferable to any workplace setting. This experience in cooperative problem solving prepares them to be valuable team members and leaders who can inspire and guide others. Programs like Venturing offer youth-led adventures that develop essential skills such as event planning, organization, responsibility, and the nurturing of followers. Scouting's commitment to outdoor education and practical skills ensures that members are not only knowledgeable, but also adaptable. Activities such as camping, hiking, and community service teach resilience, problem solving, and a strong work ethic. These experiences translate into a readiness to tackle challenges in any professional context, making Scouts well prepared for the demands of the modern workforce. Scouting's programs are meticulously crafted to develop the full potential of young people. By instilling leadership qualities, ethical values, teamwork capabilities, and even entrepreneurial skills, Scouting prepares its members to excel as future employees, leaders, and innovators. The experiences and lessons gained through Scouting serve as a solid foundation for success, empowering youth to navigate and contribute positively to an ever-evolving professional landscape. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate and support this remarkable organization. My name is Jody Holland, and I have had the honor of being both the Good Scout Luncheon Chair for 2025, as well as today's MC. As a leadership strategist, trainer, and executive coach, I know how critically important it is for young people to learn the skills taught in Scouting. And I am proud to be a part of this organization, working together to build the potential of our future leaders. Thank you for taking time out of your day for such a worthy cause. I'd like to start by thanking Shane Brooks, our table sponsor chair, Brian Bruckner, the table host chair, and of course the rest of the committee who made this possible, as well as the professional scouts that keep us guided as we go along this journey. Today is a celebration of character. Today is a celebration of impact. Today is a celebration of our community. And today we celebrate America's largest character-building youth program that is now 115 years old. Welcome to the 24th Annual Good Scout Lunch. First, it is appropriate that I invite Troop 633, Troop 4633, Crew 2086, Troop 4086, and Troop 86 Scouts to deliver the invocation, the presentation of colors, and to lead the Eagle Charge.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity to come together as one and celebrate your many blessings. We pray for knowledge and guidance to our country's leadership, and we pray for our military men and women who protect us and the sacrifices made by the people who love them. Please bless the whole scouting community and those who support us. Watch over all the work we continue to do throughout the world. Strengthen us as we live out our Scout oath and law every day. Thank you for the people who have taken the time to travel and support our council. Bless them as they return to their homes. Let this event help strengthen our journey in scouting. We ask your blessing on our meal and the hands that have prepared it, and we ask for all of these things in your name, we pray, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors. Color guard, forward march. Color guard, halt. Prepare to post the colors. Post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now I would like anyone who was or is a scout to remain standing. Everyone else, you may be seated. Please join me in the Scout Oath and Law. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. 2. Now I'd like anyone who is an Eagle Scout to remain standing. Everyone else, you may be seated. Please repeat after me as we reaffirm the Eagle Scout oath and charge. I reaffirm my allegiance to the 3 promises of the Scout oath. I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout Law. I realize that the Eagle rank is not the end, but the beginning. To this I pledge my sacred honor. Thank you. You may be seated.
Today, I have the pleasure to tell you about the Golden Spread Council that consists of 27 counties in the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. Our council is served by 4 districts: Adobe Walls, Lone Wolf, Quanah Parker, and Golden Eagle. I think that scouting is more important than ever, especially with all of the community service hours that we generate. I had the privilege of leading a team of scouts and volunteers to replace a small tired flower bed at St. Paul Methodist Church. We installed a stone border, rich soil, and vibrant blooms to make the information sign so much more inviting to all the passerby. And now, the 2024 Golden Spread Council Impact and Successes. The 2023 Merit Badge University, held at West Texas A&M University, was attended by 105 Scouts BSA members. The Scouts BSA Camporee was attended by 152 Scouts and volunteers at Camp MK Brown. They had fun testing their Scout skills and competing against one another. Spookery attendance was attended by about 754 Cub Scouts, siblings, leaders, and parents. This event took place in both Camp Don Harrington and MK Brown Scout Camp and was led by about 80 Scouts BSA Scouts. The Scouts BSA members earned 1,561 merit badges, and Cub Scouts earned 923 rank advancements. During our council-wide Scouting for Food event, over 51,000 meals were provided. Scouts performed 9,227 hours of community service. And lastly, we had 43 new Eagle Scouts, including me. Thank you.
Color guard, reform. Next, I believe we have Brian Tobler up. Is that correct? No? Yes? Maybe.
Let's give them another round of applause. That was fantastic. Today we gather to do 4 things. First, to hear about the positive impact that scouting has made in our communities. Second, to present 2 Good Scout Awards to outstanding community partners and individuals who have really invested in the Texas Panhandle and in the youth of tomorrow. Third, to hear our keynote speaker, the incredible Rob Marshall. And lastly, to pledge our financial support to our local scouting program and to the future of the leaders in this area. This luncheon, the Golden Spread Council, and the youth it serves are very grateful for our community's long and generous support. Thank you for all that you've done for us. Now, I want to call Dr. Brian Weiss up at this point. We're a little out of order here, but we're adapting. So, I want you to think about the people who have invested in your life and the impact that they have had. Since 2002, the Golden Spread Council has presented the Good Scout Award annually to recognize those who make an impact on our community and in our quality of life. These recipients mirror the values of scouting in their professional and personal lives and are great examples for our young people. The Good Scout Award is presented to foundations, corporations, organizations, or individuals who have a long history of significant support and impact in the Panhandle community and in scouting for the Golden Spread Council. We're going to talk about our first group to receive this award, but at this time, I'd like to invite Rabern Rentals up to the stage, the representatives from Rabern. In the summer of 1984, Gene Rawl and Steve Berner opened the doors of Rabern Rental Center to the public. At that time, there were less than 10 employees, and the inventory looked quite different than it does today. The store was mainly aimed towards party rentals and small homeowner equipment rentals. But as of 2024, they have over 70 employees, and they carry heavy industrial equipment and almost everything a homeowner or a contractor would possibly need. Throughout the 40 years that they've been in business, Rabern Rentals has been open, and it has seen a lot of changes. New logos, new and old customers, different equipment, but the integrity of the business has always stayed the same, taking care of their customers and serving their community. They pride themselves on the way they treat their customers, whether on the clock or out in the community. They even are pretty much experts at barbecue. Rabern participates in a lot of community events in numerous forms. They love to show off their barbecue skills by cooking for customers and also at the Golden Spread Council sporting clay shoots. Rabern also loves to volunteer with other local charities, whether it is a donation of equipment or showing up to help in person. We can proudly say that Rabern helps us in many ways, from donated forklifts to help move around popcorn or all sorts of other things, and equipment to help us even at our camp. Scouting really does appreciate the work that they have done, and it has made a massive impact in the way that we are able to serve Scouts. Thank you for the service that you've done, and thank you for the way that you serve our community. Thank you to Rabern Rentals. Our second Good Scout Award goes to a gentleman named Bob McGinnis. And Bob, if you would like to make your way up, I believe you've got family with you. Bob McGinnis grew up in the scouting program in the mountains of northwestern Pennsylvania. He attained the Eagle Scout Award in 1956. He attended the University of Iowa, where he met his life partner and nurse, Sandy. They married in 1960 and raised a daughter and 3 sons. Following graduation, Bob began a career as a professional in the Boy Scouts of America. He served 7 different councils in Iowa, Missouri, Ohio, West Virginia, and Texas. For 25 years, he was CEO of 3 different councils. 11 of those years, he served as the scout executive of the Golden Spread Council. During his 40-year career, Bob mentored 75 scouting professionals. That's a lot. And through thousands of scouting volunteers, saw more than 250,000 youth receive a quality scouting program. In addition to full-time work for the Boy Scouts, Bob also held 8 different scouting volunteer positions. He is active in the church and in the community. Bob was a member of Rotary International for 35 years. He served in several leadership capacities for St. Stephen's Church, and he is one of the founders of the Golden Spread Woodcarvers. And in his spare time, he sings in the barbershop harmony chorus. As the former Golden Spread Council Scout Executive and then Vice President of Endowment, Bob gave leadership to the community of volunteers that we have throughout the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles, and he raised more than $5 million for the Council's permanent endowment fund to assure that scouting program is sustained for the future of all of the generations in this area. Bob has been a registered member of the Boy Scouts of America for 75 years. That's a long time, Bob. And he has served as a volunteer for the Golden Spread Council Executive Board for more than 20 years. We are pleased to recognize Bob McGinnis as a 2025 Good Scout Award recipient. Thank you, Bob.
They said they'd allow me to say a couple of words. I've been blessed to be in the rugged mountains of Montenegro, and I've walked the streets of Casablanca, and I've cruised among the icebergs in the Arctic Circle, and crossed the Tasman Sea to Tasmania. So far, I've been to 59 countries, but the United States of America is the best of them all. I've been to Bangor, Maine, Key West, Seattle to San Diego, San Francisco, to Norfolk. Actually, I've traveled extensively in all 50 states, and I've lived in 10 of them. But Texas is the best. My wife Sandy and I moved we chose Amarillo 35 years ago. And here's why. First of all, we have good weather. Well, windy sometimes, huh? Magnificent sunrises and sunsets. We really do have sunshine. Do you realize on an average we have 270 days a year of sunshine in Amarillo? We have great health care. We have an exceptional educational system, from kindergarten to advanced university degrees. But, we have cultural events for everybody's interest. But the most important reason that we live here is because of the people, because of you. Panhandle values just mirror the Scout oath and law. That's why we love living in the Crown of Texas. I want to leave you with this. I think I even have it with me. This card I had printed on my business cards for years. For decades, I gave this to folks and I want to leave you with that quote. 100 years from now, it won't matter what your bank account was. It won't matter the kind of house you lived in or the kind of sort of car you drove, but the world may well be different because you're important in the life of a child. Thank you very much for all you do in supporting Scouting, and thanks for honoring me as a Good Scout.
Well, congratulations to our recipients, and I will say that one of the points of the Scout law is that a Scout is brave, and I thought those kids did a great job. Can you join me in congratulating them for that? All right, well, it's great to see everybody here today. A special thank you to our sponsors, board members, our Scouts, Scouters, and our staff. We have an amazing team. We're very excited. It's a very exciting time for the Good Scout Lunch and for Scouting. Last year, we grew traditional Cub Scouts by over 9%, which really bodes well for the future of our program here. Additionally, some of you may have heard about the name change, Scouting America, and I want to talk a little bit about that. Just take this opportunity. Scouting over the last few years has evolved into a family adventure. We now have boys and girls in every one of our programs, and families are scouting together, and it's fantastic. The downside is those families that are not in Scouting don't realize yet that girls can join. So in order to try to address that, we've adopted a trade name, Scouting America, to eliminate that public perception that girls can't join. So while we've adopted a trade name, what I really want you to know is what has not changed, because I think that's also very important. We are still the Boy Scouts of America. That is still our legal name. The Scout Oath and the Scout Law have not changed. Duty to God and duty to country are still pillars of our organization, and the requirements for the rank of Eagle Scout have not changed. We have the same qualities and ethics, and we're the same life-changing program of getting kids outdoors and bringing future families into Scouting. So the next time you hear somebody talk about, the Boy Scouts of America have changed or Scouting America, let them know they've adopted a new trade name, but we're still the same organization. Our biggest priority continues to be the safety of the young people in our community. And unfortunately, we all know bad people tend to get into good organizations, whether it be your church, school, youth sports, or Scouts. I'm very proud about the quality processes that we have in place in Scouting to keep bad people out. We do background checks on every new leader with periodic background checks every year. We require an in-depth youth protection training that every leader is required to take every 2 years. And we require two deep leadership, so no youth is left alone one-on-one with an adult. Scouting is a very safe place to be, but the Golden Spread Council wants to do more to lead the way to keeping youth safe in our entire community. So I'm very pleased to tell you that we're partnering with the Lord W. Bush Institute for Women's Health to bring you a Safeguarding Youth Symposium that's going to take place on April 26th. We have 5 professional speakers coming in to discuss threats that youth face in the Panhandle. And they're going to be difficult topics, things that you probably don't want to hear about, but they exist and you need to hear about them. Things like trafficking, sextortion, and online threats. There's a flyer on your table, and I invite you to look at this and consider inviting somebody and attending yourself. It's open to the public, and it's only $10 to attend. And of course, we're looking for sponsorships to help offset some of those costs. There is no silver bullet protecting our kids, or somebody would have used it by now. But raising awareness and spreading knowledge is power, and keeping our kids safe in our best defense. So we'll hope to see you there. There is no doubt that scouting is critical for our community. We're keeping you safe, we're building character, and we're shaping our future leaders. So please know your investment today is investing in our future. I'll turn it now back over to Jody to introduce our speaker.
Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for the day, Rob Marshall. Rob's career includes being a ranger at Philmont Scout Ranch, where my father-in-law proudly served as well, being an implementer of change with strategy, stratcoms, process improvement, and lean and agile management, an instructor of business and leadership at the U.S. Air Force Academy, a field grade officer of the year for the headquarters of the U.S. Air Force Academy in 2018, a champion of the healing power of nature and the importance of stress inoculation, which I'd like to learn more about that, advocating to more than 5 million military personnel and family members via ABC, NBC, Fox, newspapers, magazines, social media, podcasts, and in-person speeches. Rob spent 11 years combined directing 2 notable nonprofits who were lauded by international media as well as federal and city leaders for their accomplishments. He was the leader of the first military team to climb Mount Everest and the famed 7 summits. He served as the director of the U.S. Air Force Academy's adventure-based learning program, serving over 4,000 elite college-age students and 52 adult staff in leadership growth and risk management. He was responsible for the program management and flight safety of a $10.1 billion V-22 Osprey contract. Rob is an earthly traveler and has been to 43 countries, all outside of his regular job, and a student of worldwide cultures, teachings, and spirituality. He is a decorated Special Operations combat pilot, leader of multiple humanitarian relief missions, and a proud retiree after 26 years in military uniform. Rob has a passion to guide others as they tap into innate skills to cope with stress and challenges to foster their unique gifts that positively change the world. As one who has experienced his own brushes with death, danger, and emotional hardship, as well as safety, belonging, dignity, and joy, he uses these gifts, both of light and dark, to shape human development and use those experiences to enrich the lives of others. Whether it's leading the first American military team to climb Mount Everest and the highest peak on each continent, the famed 7 summits, managing a safety program for $10 billion in aircraft, creating unique solutions to old problems, or directing worldwide media and service member health campaigns, his unique life experiences and vision enabled him to create, communicate, and complete complex goals with extraordinary results. Rob excels in people-centric environments that demand innovation, collaboration, and a strong sense of community. On top of all of that, I was told that this morning, this is where we really need to thank Rob, he went and made a presentation to over 1,000 students at Palladora High School in order to help them grow and become a better version of themselves. So thank you for Palladora for having him there. Thank you, Brandy Self, for inviting him. And thank you, Rob, for all that you do. Please welcome to the stage, Rob Marshall.
Who did Jody just introduce? Because that does not sound like me. When I hear all that, I start to sweat, and I'm like, who is that? did I really do that much in 46 years? And it's hard to believe. So I feel like now I've got big shoes to fill, and somehow they're my shoes. So thank you, Jody. I appreciate that. What a joy to be back here in Amarillo. It means a lot to me to be back, because I used to live here when the military sent me out to be a test pilot over at Bell. And I got to say, I had a little bit of a joke, and it's got a swear word in it, and I ran it past Bob, who in my mind is the head honcho, and he said it was okay. So you guys will appreciate this. This is a meteorology term that you have never heard, unless you work over at Bell Helicopter and you were there maybe during our time frame. Maybe they still use it. But yesterday I was flying in, and I've been on the go. 3 days ago, I left the country of Georgia, the Republic of Georgia, not the state, but the Republic of Georgia, which is 12 hours from my time zone in Seattle. So I was halfway around the world 3 days ago. I got a little delayed. It snowed 9.5 feet in 3 days. And so it was really hard to get out of the country in the mountains. But I got here, and as we're on final approach into Amarillo, and the winds are gusting, and I see all the buildings that I recognize, I was like, oh, this feels like home. This feels good. Like Amarillo's welcoming me back. And then I saw the dust blowing everywhere, and I could tell it was hard to see the runway. And I realized that Amarillo was experiencing a bout of shog, S-H-O-G. And just excuse my language here, but when we were flying, the Amarillo Tower would warn us as we were test flying the Osprey or one of the helicopters. They would be like, hey, Osprey 2-2, it's time to come home. The shog is starting to get bad, and you may not be able to land. And what they were referring to was the shit fog. And it's all of the dust plus all of the feedlot material up in the air. And we knew that we only had a few minutes to get back on the runway before it was going to be low visibility. So I really felt welcomed back by Amarillo and the Panhandle when the shog was rolling in. Yeah, so I'm really happy to be here. What an honor. Let's go on to the next slide here. I've got about 15, 20 minutes, maybe a few minutes more if I run late, to talk to you all about a few things. So as a bit of a mountain guide and maybe also the height and size of a Sherpa, by the way, hi guys, I see you over there hiding behind the flags. I want to always set the stage of where I'm going to take you. And today is going to be really simple. There's some of you that have come up to me and said, Rob, it's so good to see you back in the city. Tell us about how your 7 Summits Challenge went, because it was Amarillo that got me up Mount Everest. It was Amarillo. It was Mayor Paul Harpel that helped me raise money to take wounded warriors up to Everest Base Camp. It was Amarillo doctors, some that are in this room right now, that helped me get healthy enough to go up Everest. And I wish I could tell you all about that. I wish I could show you the different videos of finishing the 7 summits in 2021. Up on Denali when we had to do the highest altitude rescue in North America. I wish I could show you some of the photos and videos from the work I was doing at the Air Force Academy in character and leadership development. Note, it's character and leadership, because being a leader doesn't mean you have character. And so that's a real challenge, and that I put a lot of years into that. But I've only got 15, 20 minutes, so we're going to nail it, simplify it down to my introduction and maybe why I'm here. We're going to talk a little bit about resiliency and the mental health crisis that our youth are facing, but actually we're all facing it. It's throughout America. Then we're going to talk about the importance of service. So I think those are 3 really simple things that we can get to, and I'm sure it'll fill up our time. But follow me along on this adventure, and we'll see where it goes. So next slide, please. Oh, I forgot. You gave me a clicker, too. I was over at Palo Duro today, and their clicker wasn't working, so I was always asking for it. All right, well, you heard the crazy, long, awesome introduction. Again, I wonder who is that guy, and somehow it's been me. My nickname at the Air Force Academy was Ritalin Rob, also known as the Energizer Bunny. So I guess you can see how I fit so much in, and I'm only 46 right now. But I did 26 years in the Air Force, 4 years at the Air Force Academy, and 22 years serving. And I was able to retire last year. Feels really good to be done. As you can see, this is a photo with my special operations unit and that was the first Osprey we took into Iraq. While there, we teamed up with like the Navy SEALs and some Army Ranger teams, and did what we do really well with the Osprey, which is hunting down really bad people that are enemies of all humanity. And that, tell you what, that aircraft does it really well. Nobody hears it coming, and suddenly there's 3 Ospreys dropping off 25 people each in your backyard. It's an amazing aircraft. In addition to those to the 13 years of flying the Osprey and some other special ops aircraft, I got to spend several years running programs at the Air Force Academy. And I would say that as much as I love flying, working with the youth was my highlight. Amarillo. I put up the Everest picture. That's me and another Air Force member. That's us on top of Mount Everest in 2013. At that time, I was here at Bell Helicopter, flying all the Ospreys, and then also doing work with the Huey and the Cobra gunship. And as I mentioned, it was Amarillo that helped me get up there. I lived on Jackson Street, down near Amarillo College. And can you believe I bought a house for $57,000? It wasn't even that long ago, and I feel like $57,000 won't even get you a down payment on a house these days. But I loved my time here, and as Bob said, it's the people of Amarillo that made the big difference. I moved here without family, single, had never lived in the Panhandle, and I felt immediately welcomed. And I have great friends from this area, and I just want to say thank you all for having such a wonderful town that takes care of the few military members that are here. And then let's see, I've also been a scout. Well, I'll put it up there. I've been an explorer. My numbers got updated since Jody's intro, but Bob, you still have me beat. I was just in Georgia, and that was country number 57, so I got to catch up with you. But I would say that one of the messages I always tell youth is academics are awesome. It's a great place to start, but until we get outside and we actually taste, touch, smell, hear, and engage with the world, we're not really learning as deeply as we would like. And so I always encourage people to travel the world. 7 summits. Yeah, that's me too. We climbed the highest point on every continent. Great. It was super fun. But what I really want to get down to is that bottom bullet, being a scout. And that meant the world to me. I started off as a Cub Scout in Seattle. That's where I'm born and raised. My parents had no scouting background, but we had a lot of military in my family. But what I remember about a Cub Scout was putting on a uniform for the very first time. And I remember the importance of getting the different items in the right place. And at that age, the idea of putting on something bigger than myself, right? Putting on a uniform with an American flag on it and all these patches, it's something bigger than myself. It started my journey towards service. And then after that, I got into a really unique program. We didn't have a real strong Boy Scout program where I was, but in high school, I became an Explorer Scout. And what's so interesting is in the Seattle area, we've got a very old Explorer Scout program that is still going with the Sheriff's Department. And it is the Explorer Search and Rescue, King County Explorer Search and Rescue. It's one of the largest search and rescue programs in the nation. And as a high school student, I got to go and team up with the sheriff, get taught how to be completely resilient in the outdoors and independent, navigating up to my nipples in bog water, trying to follow a compass heading, which I later learned that was the dumb way to go. I could have taken the road around the bog and then used my compass, but isn't that what learning is about, is learning through our failures? They said, hey, Rob, you chose the direct route. It works, but next time just follow the road and then pick up where you should have been. But I still remember that today. And then, of course, at the Air Force Academy, I got to run their Explorer Scout program where we ran jamborees, freezeries, which I didn't realize till now is a great example of expanding our comfort zones, which I'll talk about here in just a second. We would bring the scouts up from all over the area. Probably some Panhandle folks would come up. And the hope was it would go below freezing. But if we got down below 0, they got a special badge, if I'm not mistaken. Sadly, with like climate change, that doesn't happen often. And then I got to spend 2 years, and you can see in that photo, I got to spend 2 years as a Philmont Ranger, managing the Air Force and Naval Academy and West Point contingencies of cadets who were there to help Philmont go. So, whoops, that's me. So I'm going to go back for a second. Again, it's like, how do you pack a life of lessons and messages in here? Well, I only got it down to one video. And this is a video that was taken while I was here in Amarillo, but at the time I was on top of Mount Everest. And I put it in here just to really get you guys excited and to get you to stop listening to my voice right now and to watch this video. It's on top of the mountain, and what I want to leave you with is this impression that when we reach our goals, and our goal was putting the American flag on top of Mount Everest, the very first military team to attempt it from America, but we were also the first team in the world from any country to do all 7 summits. This was our team's last one. And I put this video in here to say it was Amarillo and the people here and training. Believe it or not, I was training, walking around like the Palo Duro track, carrying a sled behind me to try to build up muscles. And I would drive over to Taos from here to go hike the mountains. But it all led to the ability to climb the highest mountain in the world and then go one step higher. And that's what I often try to teach the youth. So what you'll see here is, this is a quick video from Everest. It's a pretty rough quality one, but you're going to hear someone say, "No, no, no." That's my Sherpa that I was climbing with telling me, "Don't take your mask off and get down and do what you're about to do, because this is dumb." But I wanted to prove that American military members take on great risk and great struggles, and when we get to the edge, we go a little bit further. So you'll see what happened on top of Mount Everest. Thanks, and I want to say thanks to my experiences in the Air Force, thanks to my experiences in Amarillo, but especially thanks to my time as a scout.
Here. No. Right here. All right.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. It's Major Rob Marshall with the United States Air Force and the Air Force 7 Summits Challenge. We're on top of Mount Everest. I'm going to do my push-ups. See how many we get in a minute. It won't be as many as normal, but I'm doing it to show that mountains can't stop you. You have teamwork and good physical fitness. It also goes out to the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. Here we go.
So every push-up that I was doing was raising money for the children of military members who had died in special operations, of which I've lost many friends too. So I felt pretty excited to be raising money up there. And we were making about $1,800 a push-up for college. So I thought that was a good reason to risk my life up there. So we were able to knock out 30 push-ups in 30 seconds. And
I don't want to do any more and pass out. God bless America. Go Air Force.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so now that you believe that I'm somewhat reasonably qualified to be up here on the stage, which is hard for me to believe at times, enough about me and enough about how scouting has changed me, enough about how the military has changed me, enough about how Amarillo has changed me. Let's talk about the most important stuff, which is the youth and the next generation, and why scouting is important to the future of America, why scouting is important to the future of our communities. What I've got up here is a real simple slide. I was thinking about it recently, and after working at the Air Force Academy and talking to the youth there, and I've been running some outdoor resiliency programs up in the Seattle, Washington area, up in our mountains. What I'm seeing in particular is a crisis of mental health and resiliency, and we could kind of narrow it down to anxiety, depression, a limited sense of comfort zone. I want a note for you all to walk away with is go out and check out the book called The Comfort Crisis. If you are interested in the idea of our comfort zones narrowing and how that changes our character and our capacity to be healthy people, the book is a great one. It reminds us that we spend most of our lives between 65 and 75 degrees, even though this body can go from -30 to 180 degrees and survive just fine. But we spend our life in just such a narrow space. And what I like to put up there too is the cell phone is really dangerous. I think it creates unexpected or unachievable expectations that really drive in anxiety and depression. So we've got these issues, and where are they coming from? They're coming from a lot of youth are indoors. Why are youth indoors? Their parents aren't comfortable being outdoors. How can a parent teach a child to be outdoors if that parent wasn't raised in the outdoors? Scouting can. Screen time. Screen time's really hard. I doom scroll. I sit and look at my phone way too much. It's super difficult. That's a real challenge. And then, of course, these comfort zone issues. So we're dealing with a mental health problem that youth are really suffering from more than we are. And if you thought your life was hard as a child, all you adults that are in here, trust me, it's harder now. There's more uncertainty and there's more competition. You're getting information from around the world that tells you you're not enough. So, as you can see at the bottom, I say the youth, they badly need experiential education. You can't just tell them, you're awesome. Hey, Chase Roach, you're a great kid. You're awesome. Okay, now go on and go back and do your thing. Or, hey, Billy or Shannon, I really like you. You are an amazing child. And then they go back. Those words, just like a teacher's words, they go in one ear and most of them go out the other. So what we learned at the Air Force Academy through experimenting with experiential education, experience, is that's how we get it to stick. So here's one of my ways that I think that I want to talk about experiential education. I love this analogy of Humpty Dumpty. When we have basic training, we don't just tell the troops before they go into combat, be tough. Don't crack up. Hey, when bullets go flying over your head, calm down, relax, take a breath, shoot the bullets back or fly your airplane better. And then, okay, now go on. I told you everything. Maybe I gave you a PowerPoint presentation. Again, that's not how we train soldiers. So what we've been experimenting with at the Air Force Academy and that I've been working with is this idea of pre-resilience. Resilience with the pre in front of it. If I take a great hardened person and I bring them up here and I suddenly push them over, it doesn't matter if they have 40 years of experience of, in a way, taking a hit. If they're not, let me take that back. If I take up somebody and I tell them, I want you to be tough, and then they don't see the force coming to hit them, they're going to fall over the stage and they're going to crack like a Humpty Dumpty. But if we practice it and practice it and practice it, they're going to have the body memory to fall over and do it. Or to land safely. Has anyone ever jumped out of an airplane or any paratroopers from the Army? We got anyone? No. Oh, maybe one. Okay. When the Army teaches you or the Air Force teaches you to jump out of a plane, they have your body practice over and over hitting the ground before you ever jump out. So you have the muscle memory. That is pre-resilience. It's actually cueing the body to be ready for a known stress that's coming. Otherwise, we end up with a Humpty Dumpty situation where Humpty Dumpty breaks and we spend billions, with a capital B, the military spends billions of dollars putting veterans back together. Well, the thought process is, why don't we toughen up their shell a little bit more before the inevitable falling off? And that's where stress inoculation comes in. Okay, I'm watching my time here. I think the Boy Scouts of America are important to fund. I think the scouting world is important to continue to grow because they're one of the few sources of stress inoculation. The idea of hardening Humpty Dumpty's shell before Humpty Dumpty goes over the wall. Stress inoculation is simply just like the flu vaccine. You get a flu vaccine to teach your immune system how to react when the flu shows up. It works. Every year, the military members get it. Many of you get it. We get vaccines for other things. It teaches our body how to react when something dangerous shows up. Well, how are we teaching our youth right now? How are we teaching the average youth how to deal with stress? With getting dumped by a boyfriend or girlfriend, with a parent getting sick, with financial hardship, with a physical injury. How are we teaching them that? I don't see our society teaching them that, except for the Scouts do. The Scouts harden up Humpty Dumpty's shell so that our youth can get back up after falling down and keep on going a little bit tougher than before. We don't have to put them back together again. So stress inoculation is something I challenge all of you is where can you find ways to help inoculate your children, yourself? How do you get out of your comfort zone and intentionally take on some stress? Well, the Boy Scouts do a great job at that. Here's a very nerdy slide, and one of the last slides I have. This is the Kolb cycle, which can be used, it's kind of the heart and soul of experiential education. Well, I also think it's the heart and soul of how scouting works. I like to just simplify it to try, fail, repeat. And you all know that failure is one of the best ways to learn. It goes into our lizard brain, and we remember, ooh, that didn't feel good when I failed, or it hurt, or it was scary, or it was embarrassing, or I just downright don't like to fail. Well, in my experience with scouting, from Cub Scout to Explorer Scout to learning how to guide youth when I was only 20 years old, I did a lot of failing. The scouting, this is what this is all about. You have your mentors who give you ideas and help coach you. And then scouting, instead of just telling the youth how to do things, we let them get out there and actually pull out a pocket knife. And they get to whittle wood. Does anybody remember whittling their first piece of wood and how scary it was to hold that knife? Yeah, I do. And that was a Cub Scout level thing. And then in Explorer Scouting, I had to start learning how to repair, or not repair, but to set compound fractures as a high schooler. And I would show up to avalanches up in the mountains, and I would see people with wounds that were pretty scary, and I would try to patch them up, and then an adult would come in and go, hey, there's a better way. But I got to try to do it. And this is one of the key ways that we teach at the Air Force Academy students now, is we let them go out and experiment and try and fail. And I tell you what, this is key to making mentally healthy youth. And the Scouts offer it. I don't see it offered in a lot of other places, except maybe sports. Sports is a good place for this too. So another reason that scouting is critical in fighting the mental health epidemic. And finally, in the youth development side, I want to talk about rites of passage. If I asked all of you in this room, what makes an adult? Just think about it for a second. What makes an American adult? Is it turning 18 and you get a vote? Is it losing your virginity? I mean, honestly, some people used to think long ago that made you an adult. Is it having your first drink of alcohol? Is it joining the military? Is it moving out of home? Is it paying bills? I don't know. In America, we've lost what defines being an adult. But I'll tell you what, across the world and across history, rites of passage is what made youth into adult and built them up. Where do we find rites of passage of meaning anymore? Well, I'll tell you what, I know that we find them in the Boy Scouts, or in the Order of the Arrow, in pinning on eagle, in some of these secretive things that makes a youth go, whoa, there's more expected of me than I originally thought. Or, whoa, I'm stepping into a level of responsibility. My favorite rite of passage as a Philmont Ranger was taking students up Mount Baldy. Has anyone ever been up Mount Baldy? Okay, I see a few of you. Did anybody ever get to see a sunrise or sunset from Mount Baldy? Okay, a few did. That was a rite of passage. I would get them up there, and I would stop talking, if you can believe that. And I would let God do his work through sunrises and sunsets. And that's more development than any human voice can do. Is nature had that ability to remind them, you're becoming an adult, and there's a lot to be asked of you. This is how you step into it. Another reason to support the Boy Scouts is rites of passage that are healthy, because we need more healthy adults on this planet. Just because you're a grown-up doesn't mean you're an adult. And scouting teaches morals and courage and service. And I'll end with that part is we're going to end with service. But before I do, I just want you all to just take a second to close your eyes here. Just give me a second. And remember your early childhood. Picture a childhood memory, whether you're sitting on a dock fishing with a bobber, maybe you have a grandparent or a parent or a friend, or maybe it was your first hunting, maybe it was your first backpacking trip, but just take a few seconds to go as far back in your memory and remember what it was like to be in the outdoors, that earliest memory. Now, if you can, remember what it felt like to belong in nature, that sense of, I belong here. Whoa, what am I doing here? Something feels right, like I'm meant to be here. Maybe keep your eyes closed a little bit longer and think about how it inspired you. There was an awe when you connected with being outdoors, and it was something bigger than you. All right. Now the question is how do we seed this in the next generation? How do we seed that? That might be one of the most important things we can do to keep America a fantastic country and make it even better. So we're ending my speech with service. By being here today, each and every one of you is practicing some level of service. Funding the Boy Scouts is a level of service. It's what our nation was built on. I was going to talk about this old myth called the Fisher King, and I'm going to skip it just due to time. But if you ever want to look up something very old, the myth of the Fisher King is about how for the masculine to be the most healthy, service has to be at the core. And to get there takes building and introspection and experimentation and failure before we can find how to serve. And that's the importance of being a healthy man. So look into that myth. But the Scouts provide an opportunity for service. And that's what leads to healthy, resilient youth. So we're offering the opportunity to expand comfort zones, to get out of the cycle of depression and doom scrolling and thinking I'm not enough, and getting outdoors and realizing I am something. Nature wants me here. I've got a connection to a higher spiritual power. If you want to call it God, it's God. If it's nature, it's nature. If it's something more than that, who knows? But we all know nature's that place that builds people up and provides the foundation for service. And you all funding the Scout and continuing to fund them, that is your form of service. So I want to say thank you. I want to salute all of you for being here today and recognizing that this is where youth come to become adults. This is where youth come to find meaning and dignity and belonging. And Lord knows that is what this nation needs more of. So thank you.
I want to say a quick thank you to Rob. That was fantastic. I love your life experience. I love the idea of stress inoculation, and to talk a lot about that with businesses, about helping youth. We have a tradition here to give you a special trophy, as well as in your honor to do an M.K. Brown campership scholarship. So we'll be sending a youth into the outdoors. So thank you so much for what you do.
All right. Thanks, Jody. Appreciate it.
And now I'd like to call Mark White up. Please give a warm welcome for Mark White.
We're going to get you out of here in just a few minutes. I get to announce something very exciting today, something you might not have expected. The Golden Spread Council is all in on the experiential learning model that Rob is so passionate about. Why? Because our council, unlike most others, has not one, but 2 council camps at which we provide this unique outdoor experiences. Sets us apart from all other youth-serving organizations. Can you imagine over 2,200 acres of fresh air and plants of every kind, animals, snakes, uncertain weather, wind, who knows? All these experiences that our youth are desperate for. And now we have entire families that are trading the movie theaters, the malls, and mobile devices for weekends and weeks at these camps, together in the outdoors. Look at the merit badges on those kids. See what kind of flavor you can get for what they are going through, how much clean fun they're having, and how many times they have failed reaching those merit badges. And our camps are nice, but they have to be upgraded to accommodate what I see coming as the greatest usage in council history. That's going to be happening over the next couple of years. Why is that? Because moms and dads and grandparents are fed up with the retreat to indoors. This idea that people can learn character online. The idea of general lack of responsibility, lack of civility that they're having watch, we're all fed up with it. The outdoors is where to remedy that. The Golden Spread Council Board knows this, and we are prepared for it. So we are announcing a $3.5 million capital campaign to upgrade these camps to be what you want them to be. Can you imagine a reimagined Cub World at Camp Don, sheltered learning environments maybe at MK Brown, and, you'll love this, better, safer bathrooms at both camps? Okay? An investment in adventure is what we're going to call it. I'm chairing the campaign. Joe Street is our honorary chairman, and we are ready to go for success. But we're not talking about that today. Today, we raise money for the annual operating expenses for the council. $350 is the magic number. That's what it takes to put on the scouting program for a year for one youth. $1 a day is not bad. So please fill out the pledge cards that are at your table. I'll give you a minute or two to do that. If you really believe in what we're doing, increase your pledge from last year, and I can guarantee that we will increase our membership from last year. So take a few minutes, fill out your pledge cards, various ways to pay, as you can see, and put those pledge cards back into the envelope or maybe give them to your table host. And please keep in mind that these two campaigns are separate, because without an annual operating budget that's healthy, it wouldn't matter how nice our camps are because they would be empty. There are separate cards on the table talking about the capital campaign. It's got my phone number, my cell phone number on them. Call me. We can talk about the capital campaign, but not today. So fill out your cards, hand them to the table host or put them in the envelope. If you do have to take them home, you can mail them, but I would hope you would get those things filled out here. You can't imagine how happy we are to see everybody here supporting this outdoor experiential learning environment that our youth are going to take advantage of. You are going to be so proud of what we do with your money. Thank you so much.
Now I'd like to call back up Dr. Brian Weiss to make just a couple of closing comments.
So good afternoon. So I was sure today was going to be different. All my recent memories of the Good Scout lunch is sloshing through snow, my crazy windblown hair, or maybe not. And I thought today we moved it to March, we're going to see sunshine. Well, it's West Texas. So thank you all for braving the weather today to be here. Just remember, next year, do not wash your car before the Good Scout lunch. Mr. Marshall, thank you so much for your service and for just an incredible talk. I mean, the 7 summits, I can confidently say that doing that has never crossed my mind. I hyperventilate if I get up on a step stool. But thankfully, to people like you that bring back the stories and the pictures for the rest of us, thank you so much for being here today and for all your support. So as you can see, this year's Scout Lunch has been an incredible success. And I want to thank all the individuals that have helped. I'd like to run through a list of some of our key supporters who have made this all possible. So first of all, let's thank our Eagle sponsor, Baptist Community Services. Then we have our life sponsors, the I Am Annabelle Critchard II Foundation, Bill and Mary D. Countess, the Waite and Genevieve Phillips Foundation, Street Toyota, Neely Craig Walton, and First Bank Southwest.
We have our star sponsors, Sprouse Schrader Smith, Rabern Rentals, Western Valve, Bill and Poppy McCarty and Charlie Graham, and Valero. And then thank you to our special event sponsors, Walmart, Dyers, New Day Productions, Excel Energy, Rabern Rentals, Phillips 66, Valero, AMB Asset Management, Charitable Foundations, United Way of Amarillo and Canyon, the NRA Foundation, and the Bruckner Family Foundation. And lastly, a special thank you to all our first-class sponsors you'll find listed in the program and our many table hosts. So thank you very much, all are here. So I cannot say enough about our council's management and administration and leadership. Brian Tobler, who's been our scout executive for over 5 years now, has been unbelievable, and you see the fruits of his labor. My good friend Chase Roach, today is mostly his work that brought this to us. So him and all the scout office, I want to thank for their efforts. We have an incredible scouting board. This is one of the most enjoyable boards I've ever been on because of the people on that board. Everyone is so engaged. But I want to particularly point out today we have our planning committee members, the GSL committee chair, Jody Holland, who emceed today, and the entire board. I wish you would help me applaud all of them. So lastly, I have had the privilege of being in academic medicine for many years. And with that has been the honor for me to help train future clinicians and healthcare providers, primarily for this community. Scouting's no different. What I do as an academic physician, I do as a scouter. We help train the leaders of tomorrow. We help create the responsible citizens of tomorrow. And we help nurture the supportive parents of tomorrow. That's what we do here. So thank you for all your support. The money and effort and resources you give here stay in this community. For many of you, it may be a donation. For others, it's your time and volunteering to help support this effort. So thank you. Thank you for all your efforts. So please, if you will continue filling out your pledge cards, you'll either put them on the envelope or you'll find some representatives in the back that'll be happy to take your donations. And once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the Golden Spread Council. And with that, we'll adjourn. Thank you.